survey that was conducted to assess women's economic empowerment within the fisheries value chain. That's what our conversation will be around. I have been joined by Akia Amwa Otrinyako, who is a gender consultant, and Nana Nkansa Ejukum, who is a media and communications officer at Oxfam. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
How are you both?
We're good. You're fine.
So Nana, I'll start with you. Can you tell us a bit about the importance of knowing women representation within the supply chain, and of course this research we'll be discussing?
Okay, so as part of the Faribambo project, we decided to conduct this survey and then look at women, the role they play, and then also identify the challenges along the value chain, and then see how the project can support. Because most of the time we assume that these are the problems they are facing from afar. But we felt it's important to get somebody to get to the communities, talk to the different stakeholders, and then come out with the challenges, the position women occupy along this value chain, and also what can we do as a project, not in terms of giving them money, because that is not part of the project, but then if there is any training, if there is any capacity building, how can we use the findings that we get from this research to then support the women along the value chain? So that's basically what's the reason for conducting this particular survey.
Okay, Akia, so one of the things that came out was a Class 1 recognition scheme. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Okay, so I want to add just something to hers before I talk about the Class 1. The research was conducted by a team of 4 experts. So we wanted to look at the value chain along the fisheries, from the catch to the processing, the landing, the marketing. And then we identify key areas where women play roles and what kind of support they need, especially when it comes to the marketing and processing of their fish. So one of the key findings that we want as a nation everybody should come on board to support it is the Class 1 certification scheme. This has been recently launched by the Fisheries Commission, and this scheme came about because we realized that we need to put in place measures to sanitize the way we process and package fish. You know, when we go to the market currently, we get fish on the market displayed openly. Okay, but there are few who are able to enter the formal markets, like the shopping malls, or even export their fish. And surprisingly, these few people are all men.
Wow.
Yes. There's only one female-led company which exports to the EU, but the rest are all men. But when you come to the local market, most of them, 95% I should say, are women. But then there's very little they gain in terms of profit. So we set out to find out what their challenges are and how we can move them from where they are to the formal markets, where they can get a little more premium for all the hard work they put into processing fish. So Fisheries Commission has launched this Class 1 certification scheme, and it's being policed in the communities by FDA, Food and Drugs Authority. So with this scheme, there are some guidelines. So if you want to come on board, there are zonal officers of the Fisheries Commission in the communities. So you approach them, they help the fish processors to go by the guideline. They have to set up a processing unit. So normally the current trend is they smoke fish or they process fish in the open. So there's insects, houseflies, inclusive, rodents, the goats and all that, they interfere with their work. And you have children even around. So even the smoke affects these children, not only the women. So that with the scheme, you have to set up and close your processing area. You have to have a linear production so that when the fish comes in, raw fish comes in, you're processing it, it goes to another place where it does not interfere with where the raw material is, so that there will not be any cross contamination. So with the guideline, it helps you set up your processing site well, make sure that it is all enclosed and is warding off any insects. And for when it comes to the smoking of fish, fish can be processed in various forms. We can have salting, fermenting, but majority of it comes in the smoked form. So for the smoking of fish, you need the ahoto oven. This you know, at first we used to have the choco.
Yeah.
Yes, and the choco has been developed for, it has been in use for over 50 years.
So we're looking on our screen. Is this the ahoto oven?
So
what are we looking at now?
This one is the choco.
Choco. Okay,
yeah,
this is
we
the
know
choco.
the trays are similar,
Okay.
but then the oven at the bottom is what will make the difference come out.
So
this is a packaged fish.
Okay.
That we want to see on our markets.
Okay.
This
not the one in the open that we see flies all over.
No.
You get home and there are maggots in them. No. Okay.
And aside the maggots, the current process of processing the fish with the choco has so much a high content of smoke.
Okay.
And
so it's not good for
you. It's not good. It has some cancer effects. We call it polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon. It's a cancer-causing agent.
Okay.
So we have seen that this is a problem with the choco. So there was a development and improvement upon the choco, which led to the ahoto. Yeah. So for the scheme, you need such a stove.
Is that ahoto?
The one the lady was standing.
Okay. The previous one was ahoto. Okay.
Yeah, so you need that kind of stove to be in place so that your fish.
This
comes
is
out
ahoto.
nice.
This one that we're looking at is ahoto.
I just hope I was hoping to get a look at the base,
bottom.
But then the process of smoking is the same. You can.
Okay, but it's the base that's the
base
difference.
that makes the difference.
Okay.
Yes.
How affordable is ahoto from choco?
It's quite on the high side. It's about.
Are they being subsidized? These fishery, these women in the sector.
Okay, under some projects, under some fisheries projects, they subsidize the cost, but then it's still high. It's over 1,000 cedis, and I mean the smallholder fish processor cannot afford it because they are living from hand to mouth. They process, they sell, they consume because they have a lot of dependents. So we're calling on donor agencies to come in and subsidize. It could be Oxfam, under the Fire Bamboo project, they have this.
But is there a role that, because usually Oxfam would bring someone from the ground, like a woman in there, to be the devil's advocate in this conversation. So now I'll let you be the devil's advocate here. Is there a role the ministry should play in making this whole process affordable? Because you are telling me that one, women are underrepresented. They are largely in the informal sector. And clearly, cost is a big factor. So if they have to transform the way they're currently doing things, there has to be an incentive for them to be able to do it. But if they're going to spend more money, will they actually follow through with it?
Yeah, so exactly. But before, let me also acknowledge that the Fire Bamboo dialogue is brought to you with
by the
support
European
from
Union.
The European Union.
Yes,
okay, so back to your point. This is where I always call on the state agencies because NGOs cannot do it alone. And also, we also try to avoid the kind of dependency syndrome. We want to encourage sustainability because this whole thing is a business and we want to see it as a business that you are getting your livelihood from. We want to support in whichever way possible, but then the primary responsibility must be on the small-scale fishers or fishmongers themselves. And this is where I wanted to see more of Ghana Standards Authority, Fisheries Commission, after you've launched the Class 1 certification, how well are they getting into the communities for the women to know? Because sometimes we assume they don't have the money to even go through the process. But if clearly they know that this is what we need and these are the process, if you want to get the certification, you go A, B, C, this is the process you have to go through. I think if the Fisheries Commission and all the other state agencies that are in charge, if they really get to the community, gets to work with the fisheries, the associations. We have NAFTA, National Fish Processors and Traders Association. It's mainly a women's wing of the fisheries associations. They have most of their members being fishmongers and other things. How well are they collaborating with such associations to get the education to the women right in the communities? Because I know once they know the process and they know that if you don't go through this process, is there even some kind of punishment or something, sanctions they can suffer even apart from the sanctions, they should know the motivational factor. If you are able to package your fish, if you're able to do it this way, that is when you can put it in the supermarkets and other places, because the supermarket, they want that kind of traceability.
But is there currently some sort of agency? So let me use the manufacturing sector, for example. If a woman is in the arts and crafts sector and wants to get certified by GSA, there are agencies like NBSSI and REP that can help with subsidizing that standardization they need. Are there agencies like that in the fisheries sector that will help these women actually get the standardization? Because if they don't have the money, they just don't.
Okay, I know, like you said, I know sometimes some projects take it up. For instance, the picture we showed, I know it was under the SFMP project.
Okay.
They helped some of the women in the fishing communities. You pay part of the money for construction, and the project will also subsidize. So instead of probably constructing it for 1,000, you will do half, and the project will also support you. So there are some NGOs that, as part of initiating or encouraging the fishmongers to do to use their hotel ovens, they subsidize, and then the fishmonger will also pay part of but
do you think GSA and FDA are doing enough?
I don't know as at now, but that is when we will call on them to actually see how they can subsidize, see how they can work with them to say, if you are able to take care of at least even 60% of the cost of constructing these hotel ovens and go through the certification, the institution will also take 40% of it. If you put this package out there and you make it less laborious, I know a lot of women will be willing to go through the process.
So, okay, I'm going to ask you the same question. So, theoretically, this makes sense. Ghanaians are going into the markets. We're consuming the smoked fish that is not good for us. We're discussing Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Some of us might contract diseases that we can't afford to treat from the actions of these women in the fishing industry. Is FDA and GSA doing enough to educate them, one, on why they need to do that and the financial benefits of even moving from choco to ahoto from your findings?
FDA, GSA, they get support on their own. Okay, there's always the issue of resources to do their work, especially in the communities. So when they get the support from other projects, from other donor projects, like she mentioned the SFMP, there have been other projects. When they do get it, they're able to.
When they are coming to take away expired products, and when they're coming to police people, they don't rely on NGOs. They just come into police. And their job isn't just to police. They are supposed to ensure that people are doing the right things in the first place. Are you saying FDA and GSA can't operate without NGOs' assistance?
Well, that is what it is now. In the communities, whenever they are there, it's NGOs or some other financial means supporting them with resources to go there. There are technical people on the ground, yes. But when we went on the field, we noticed some FDA vans coming around calling for meetings, okay, but wasn't fisheries related. So I'm presuming that there are some special packages for fisheries. I can't talk so much for them.
Okay.
Yes, but from a little interactions we had with them, we realized that they also need some external support in terms of resources to do their work.
Okay, so moving forward, Nana, what should we do to ensure that women are represented more in the formal stream of the value chain as far as the fishery sector is concerned? Okay,
so I think one of them is what we're doing now. We invested in this research to share knowledge. So we are sharing the knowledge, and we are calling on all the other stakeholders involved to also come on board to give the necessary education they have to give to the women, because most of, if you look at the people involved in the whole fisheries value chain, a lot of women are involved in terms of percentage. So this is one of the things we're doing, and we also want to call on all these other agencies, especially to work with the fisheries associations, women's associations, because sometimes if you, whatever education, whatever package, whatever incentive you want to give to the fisher folks, or you can't bring every fishmonger to, let's say, Accra or wherever you want to do your program. But then if you're able to work with the different associations, even if you're able to train some of their leaders and other people and collaborate with projects like Faribambo, what are we doing? What are the areas that the Fisheries Commission, FDA, what are the areas that we can collaborate? Our doors are always open, because ours is to make sure that we empower women to get the economic benefit of the work that they are doing. So we are open to collaborate with all the other state agencies who are interested in taking up women's economic empowerment.
Okay. So, okay, same question to you. We've been having conversations about people moving from just being in the agri sector to focusing on the business side of agriculture. Have we done enough to get women to focus on the business side of fisheries and how their profits might triple if they begin investing in some of the things you've identified that their male counterparts are currently doing?
I would say we haven't done enough, because when you, from our field work, when you give them a little brief on the numbers, like you invest this amount of money to set up a processing unit, you're able to sell for this amount and get this amount of profits. They were like, well, we want to do it. They are not aware. Okay, so we have to do more to encourage them, because the motivation is there. Once they know that I'm going to get more profits, they are motivated, but then they are not aware and they don't even know how to. So they need a lot of technical support from the Fisheries Commission, from all the state institutions. And I continue saying from the donor agencies, because from the donor agencies, we're able to push and get so much done. And I'll continue referring to FBB and then other projects. For an FBB, what we realized when we went to the field was there was this Village Savings and Loans associations they had helped the women set up. And under these associations, they get some money, which is not a loan, or even if it's a loan, it's a very small interest rate that is helping them improve upon their businesses.
But if we're going to look at Ghana Beyond Aid, because that's the mantra that we're using, how do we ensure? Because I mean, we don't want what happened in the poultry sector to happen in the fishery sector, so we should own it as ours. Let's say the donor agencies out. If they didn't exist, what would we need to do as a country to get the fishery sector where it needs to be and women properly represented within it?
I didn't want to say governments, because we always say governments and then we don't see
action. Pay taxes, right? Yes, so we need to see the results of our taxes.
Yeah, and it gets frustrated. You get frustrated when you see that you're paying and you don't see any outcome. So what we try to also encourage the women to do is to do savings themselves, because you have to help yourself. If you say you are waiting for somebody to come, the help may never come.
Does this mean that we've given up on government altogether as far as reviving the fisheries?
We shouldn't wait for government. We shouldn't give up on government, but we shouldn't wait for government.
What's their role in this? Do they have a role to play at all? What's their role?
They have, because they do have to do the trainings.
Are they doing the trainings?
Not enough.
Okay.
Not enough, as we would want the trainings to go. Okay. Because if there is enough training, if there is so much awareness creation, we would see improved hygienic fish products on the market. We will not see fish displayed openly with flies and all that.
Is FDA doing enough to inform us, the general public, to stop buying? Because I remember a couple of years ago, they told us to stop buying Zomi because the women were experimenting with it. Yeah. I'm just finding out that you can get cancer from smoked fish because of the way it's being operated. Yeah. Is FDA and GSA, are they doing enough to inform me, the final user? Because if I'm not buying the smoked fish, then the women will have no incentive to continue smoking them the way they've been smoking them. Yeah.
Unless they have an alternative, which has now been introduced.
Okay, what's the alternative?
So I think that the alternative is to go by the Class 1 certification scheme and use the Ahoto oven. So once we have an alternative, then we should go ahead and create awareness that there's an alternative. So let's move.
But for the perspective of the consumer, if I'm indifferent about what oven you used, and I'm still going to buy Nana's fish because it's cheaper than your fish, then what you're doing is not going to get you any result, and you care about getting my money. So who is supposed to be informing me, educating me that when I go into the market, I should buy smoked fish from Ahoto ovens and not Choco?
Yeah, okay. Whose responsibility is that just one? To come in, I think so. This is where we expect them to not only to look at, like you said, oh, don't eat Zomi because it is. But as a consumer, you have to, as a government institution, you should see right from the beginning what must be done, what must they even do right from the preparation stage, so that the bad ones don't even get into the market. I think that is where we should target the conversation. They are doing something, but obviously it's not enough. But then how do they take it upon themselves that we are giving up to 2 years? In the next 2 years, every fishmonger or every woman who smokes fish, if you are not certified with the class 1 certification, we are not going to allow you get your market on the get your fish on the market. I think we should have that kind of target, that we are giving the fishmongers a period of time. We are taking the training upon ourselves to train them. If there are any incentives of subsidizing the oven, the construction of the ahoto oven, we are taking this up. So let us start from there and then give them a period of time that by this period, everybody should have migrated from the choco to the ahoto oven, so that we have that kind of a clear objective. Other than that, if it's, don't buy fish smoked from choco oven. I don't know choco. All that I need is I go to the market, the fish is smoked there, and I buy. But I think the government institutions should rather have that kind of long-term objective of getting all these women migrated onto the right oven, so that we get hygienic fish. That is where I see them coming in to begin this whole conversation.
Okay. If you have any advice to the women who are watching us, who are in the industry?
The fish smoking industry. We are aware. They are aware. I mean, at least they attended the inauguration. That there's a new stove oven which has been introduced. As much as we waiting is expensive, there are benefits. Okay, because we get to, even if the health aspect aside, everybody will want to find out how much is it, okay, or what financial benefits am I going to get. There is a financial premium on it. So let us all get involved, and let us make it an investment, like we are investing in our business to improve upon ourselves, so that we can also move to the other markets and be competitive. Mm-hmm. Because everybody wants to see the fish outside, but then they don't want to invest in what makes the fish go outside. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, Nana, any opportunities within the sector that young people who might be considering becoming entrepreneurs should start exploring, especially women?
Yeah, I think we should not, to the youth and to maybe including myself as well, but we should not just leave the whole fish business to just the old women, or we can also take up especially the packaging aspect. I mean, we can get the older women to get the processing, when getting the fish, preparing it and other things. But when it comes to how do we prepare it, package it nicely, so that it will not just be Makola market or Medina market, but then how do we package in such a way that supermarkets will be able to say, I can source this smoked fish from this particular supplier. So we should be able to get in, especially when it gets to the finishing aspect. And once we get involved, we will add more technology, we will add a bit more innovation to it, and we can improve in that sector.
Thank you very much. One last question for you. So in your research, have you seen that at least that the representation of women in the formal sector has improved at all? Perhaps a young woman whose mom was smoking fish has now figured out a way to, innovate it. Did you find anything like that?
There were a few cases, not many.
Okay.
There were a few cases like that where, because the daughter has had some education, a higher level of education, she's able to add on, she's able to keep the financial records of her mother's business, such that during her vacation, she's able to help her mother move her business ahead. So even though not many of them will want to take up that opportunity, they are, because of the high level of education, they are still involved. And I'm just hoping that, like Nana said, they'll see the opportunities there, because if they already know the skill, it should be easier for them to do the packaging and processing, or even say that there's shortage of fish now, so I would want to go to aquaculture and get my own source of fish. Okay. There are opportunities there, and I encourage all the young people, the young women especially, to go into that.
Okay. Now, Nana, as a consumer, when I go out in the market, is it okay to ask the woman selling me the fish, is this produced by the Choco or Ahoto? And if she doesn't know, what should I use that opportunity to educate her on?
Yeah, I think, yes, like we're saying, the education is also to consumers. If we begin to demand as well, and you know that once the consumers are not comfortable, when they know that this fish is processed through the choco, they will begin to change. So consumers, at the end of it all, you are the one taking in the fish into your system. So it's okay to, but you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised that some of these women. I remember when we were doing the verification, some woman, a woman fishmonger who's a fish seller at Makola, he said he doesn't know exactly the source of the fish. She also buys it from another woman, and she buys it smoked already. So if you ask her exactly the source of the fish she's buying to them, she's selling at the market, she doesn't know either. So sometimes it's also good for you to ask, where exactly are you getting your smoked fish from, and are you aware of the oven they are using to smoke? Are they using the chocolate? You can also use that opportunity to educate them. Sometimes they don't know.
So
Sometimes,
tell us again why we should stay away from chocolate.
Like
Yes.
Ikea said, it's
Cancerous.
because of the high level of smoke that gets into the fish. At the end of the day, when you consume it, it is not good for your health. So let us all take it up as consumers and educate even the fish sellers themselves.
Okay, thank you so much, Nana and Ikea, for
Thank you.
being with us. And I'll ask David to join me. We're going to wrap up together, ladies. I hope you're okay. And of course, Ikea Ama Otrinyako is a gender consultant, and Nana Kansa Ajekum is a media and communications officer at Oxfam. I hope you've learned a lot. I'm staying away from choco.
There's
Smoked fish now.
There's a whole lot that's going on there in the conversation, yeah, and I think that it's important for us, all the different, stakeholders involved, to do their part and play their part. At the end of the day, the value chain from end to end, everybody should be, it should be a win-win for everyone, yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for being with us. And of course, this dialogue was brought to us by the European Union in collaboration with CARE International, Friends of the Nation, and Oxfam. My name is Jifra Ekia Ametan.
And I'm David Kwekusechi.
If you're just joining us, remember you can catch the entire episode on our YouTube page, City Tube.
Absolutely. Well, keep enjoying City TV for the rest of the day, and we'll see you the same time tomorrow.
Bye.